The defense called an expert in alcohol intoxication who said despite the girl being drunk, sick, and stumbling around, she still had the ability to say yes or no.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Steubenville. 6 men under arrest in India in connection with the gang rape of a Swiss tourist last week. Police say the men admit to the crime. Authorities in Turkey get their hands on a man wanted for questioning in the death of an American tourist. Investigators say the suspect, who had been on the run since February, was found near Turkey's border with Syria. The body of Sarai Sierra was found last month in Istanbul, days after the New York woman was reported missing. Authorities say the 33-year-old mother of 2 died of a fatal blow to the head. She was vacationing alone. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
News Talk 1090 WKBZ has a great way for you to save money. Up to 70% off on the items you want, like accessories for your man cave, fitness memberships, car care packages, GoPro cameras, and a lot more. Visit bidonwestmichigan.com, check out all the items, and make sure that you register yourself as a bidder. So check out the spring auction right now at bidonwestmichigan.com.
I took a bullet to the side and left me paralyzed.
For injured veterans like Felipe Adams, there are veterans like Armando de la Rosa ready to help. Paralyzed Veterans of America, changing lives, building futures. Visit PVA.org.
I see this ad on TV. I call, they told me to stop paying my bills, stop talking to my creditors. They'd take care of everything.
I gave them thousands, but most of it went to their fees.
Getting out of debt isn't easy. Talk to your creditors directly or visit debtadvice.org. Real solutions for real people. This has been a public service message.
The Talk of Muskegon. News Talk 1090, WKBZ.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well,
hey, we are back at Ion Muskegon, folks. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. Still got a little winter out there. Got Captain Fred here, though. He'll warm things up. And we got the man who put the O in radio, Oscar Osbo. And Jim Riley here, your host, and
Cuddly and Fuzzy.
Cuddly and Fuzzy.
Are you
actually, less fuzzy every year. Once I remember looking at my hair.
Besides your ears, the interesting thing about when you get older, you get hair where you don't.
That's
you
right.
didn't have hair before, and you get less hair where you used to have hair.
We're going to ruin the few listeners we have. We're going to just push them out.
Well, it is pretty interesting.
It's terrible. I looked in the mirror and I saw this stuff growing off my ears. I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's not my head. That's on my ears. Anyway, it's disgusting.
You get hair where you never had hair before.
Right. You guys have got hair, and I'm the guy. My hair is wispy. So like if a honey
wispy, I like that word.
If a hummingbird has a gas, it will blow my hair away. So nonetheless, I do fight that. But hey, we were talking about government intrusion prior to the break, and I think this is important that we understand that we must stand tall, because there are people out there who just do not think the way we think. And you must communicate either to those who are making the decisions that we find onerous, and as Fred takes another gulp out of his enormous gulp, because actually the 44 ounces is significantly higher than is allowed in New York.
Absolutely.
Which is
it's my own private protest against Mayor Bloomberg.
It is your well, here's the mindset that wants to disallow and actually make Fred, and I guess by the virtue of the fact that we're sitting in our room, make everyone here in the Clear Channel studios a lawbreaker. Mayor Bloomberg, when talking about his law to limit the size of soft drinks, said, quote, "We're not banning anything. It's called portion control." Now, think about that. John Van Wyck has come up with I think a great word. He said it's people control. It's the control of us, as Fred, you said earlier. Taking your hat off and forcing you to take your hat off as a sign of respect, which is certainly an interesting.
Well, it's rationing.
Contradiction.
It's rationing. And just as an analogy, it's kind of like the rationing boards for healthcare. I mean, it's a way of controlling you. It's a way of controlling your health. It's a way of controlling you as a person, and it's rationing. Now we've had rationing in the past during tremendous struggles like World War II and that kind of stuff, where they had to ration things in order to send stuff to the front lines. But you know what? I think this is wrong. I think it is a terrible intrusion on us.
Well, it will continue to become not just the intrusion it is today.
Trans fats forever.
Well, be it trans fats, again, like you said, it started, and it's now like a tsunami. I mean, you've got all sorts of, what have you got in California? They've banned plastic bags. So now they've got all sorts of bacteria that is in these reusable
bags.
You know,
they're giving everybody
the hemp
diseases.
bag,
And,
yeah.
you know.
Right.
And again, what you have are people who at least appear from the decisions that they've been making to believe that they are unaccountable.
We're freezing the smokers to death.
Well, yeah, smokers are catching.
They're huddled around little trash cans with fires in them outside, 50 yards from the nearest public building.
And they're not dying of lung cancer any longer. They're dying of pneumonia.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
which may be part of the plan
now to keep them warm. But anyway,
hey, we need those smokers.
You were talking about the big gulp. I mean, so does that mean that in restaurants, when we go to a restaurant now, we don't get our second glass of pop when we're sitting at our restaurant eating our food?
Well, the portion control that the good mayor of New York had mentioned did not adjust for multiple purchases, even though this has been overturned by a judge. But the reality is that you can be sure that if, in fact, this had been allowed to stand, and perhaps it will be at some point, you can be sure, especially if you are someone of, let's say, plus girth.
Which Oscar is.
Yeah. Let's say you are someone who has been determined by an august body of people, of our betters, to be someone who is heavier than you ought to be. Then maybe we'll do what they did in Iran.
I think you are, too. Iraq. I think you could pinch an inch.
I think I probably could. Yeah, we're going to Weight Watchers. But just like they did in Iraq when they voted, they had the purple thumb. Well, when you buy a big gulp, or I guess whatever gulp would be allowed, let's say it's a 16-ounce gulp.
Yeah, you just put it on your card. We'll each have a card, and I'll just swipe it.
You'd have to have
and then you have to wait. You have to wait 24 hours before you can buy a gallon.
There we go.
Yeah, but
if you wanted a Snickers, it would all add up. And again, the food period, or the food pyramid, for your own betterment. It's just portion control.
And they might actually embed that chip in your arm or something, so that you just as you walk through the store, they say maybe they say you can buy these things, but you can't buy these things.
We laugh, but you know what? Clearly, you can be sure the technology is there, and that someone has thought.
Well, they already put it in dogs.
How are you? It's already in the dogs.
Yeah, controlled.
The dogs are under their control.
Yeah.
Well, and they're forcing it for kids in some of the school systems.
The world is lost.
They're forcing the kids to have these chips somehow.
Soon cats, then hamsters,
a bracelet or something. Well, look, let's talk a little bit about our little county here, because we don't have much say. Certainly, no say.
We have no say
in what's going on in New York, and we do have a little bit of say, and we will have a little bit larger voice come the Senate election to replace Senator Levin.
Yeah.
But we do have a louder voice, certainly in the state of Michigan and in Muskegon County. And I'd like to talk about something that just came up. As we've talked about, and I don't want to bore people to death on this prevailing wage thing, which is awful. Prevailing wage, well, essentially it is too late. Every one of the county commissioners this past week voted at the full board session. The two Republicans, Marv Engel and Bob Skolnick, joined in harmony in a big kumbaya with the other 7 Democrats to vote to go ahead to hire the architect and the construction companies to go ahead to build the jail and this juvenile center with a top amount. We are assured, and thankfully we have on video, Administrator Bonnie Hammersley said it will not be more than $41 million.
Yeah, but we have on video Ken Mahoney saying that it won't be anywhere more than $25 million.
Well, that's the county board chairman who said that, but now new information has come out. So
that's okay. So new information will come out later.
It wasn't a lie, and it wasn't a mistake. It's just new information.
Okay,
and again, as long as we keep accepting that, and of course, if you looked at the Chronicle reports over the last few months,
suspend my disbelief.
Well, the point being is that the Republicans who are under pressure from those of us in the Republican Party and those of us who are conservatives and can care about the spending, we know that prevailing wage, which requires not just union wages and not just union wages in Muskegon County, but union wages as determined by some board in Lansing, but it requires union benefits, but more onerously, it requires, of course, union pensions and things of that sort. But it requires the union reportage, the paperwork, which essentially means that if you are a small subcontractor, if you're a minority contractor and you are not already set up with your accounting firm to report these union benefits, union wages, and all this kind of things. Think about it. Let's say you had a contract, your subcontractor, you got a contract that lasted a month. You still have to account for and pay for retiree pension benefits for your employees that you had on that one contract for just 1 month. So this is a very big deal. It can be an expensive deal. It's likely, as the Mackinac Center has said, that it increases costs anywhere between 10 and 20%. I've had individual folks tell me it can be as much as 30 to 40%.
Which it means that if you've got a project, it means that if you've got a set cost project, let's say $41 million, if you go with the this ruling that they voted on, it means that your project, although it was set at $41 million, it means that you don't get your $41 million worth. So it means that some of the cells probably won't have hot tubs or the other benefits that might have accrued to the prisoners.
Yeah, could be that
if you have those things, right?
Well, it's a little hard to say. I think what may happen if the prices continue or go up, as you've noted, that we've been promised before, certain levels of expenditures just seem to be, well, no sweat. We just rejiggered the number. But the reality is it's going to cost the county, the taxpayers of this county, as much as $2 million to $4 million to who knows, maybe even more, $1 million additionally to build this if they go with this self-imposed rule. Now, the reason I bring this up is that the two Republicans and interestingly, a couple of the other Democrat commissioners who seem to think this is important say, oh, well, we don't need to vote on prevailing wage now. We can vote on it later. Well, the Chronicle just reported that there's an expectation, if things go along as smoothly as they have been, and they have been smooth in getting this done, that construction could begin in 2013, which, by the way, this is 2013. Yeah. So it appears that the prevailing wage, this onerous additional multi-millions of dollars by our county that tells us is really, really tight in terms of spending, will be imposed, and not one of our Republican county commissioners, not one of the Democrat county commissioners have stood up and said, this is a rule that's self-imposed. We don't need to do it. It purely just gives these union contractors, and frankly, these are the folks with the inside deal, the same type of folks who put the new roof on the county jail not so many years ago, and the sheriff. This is, by the way, prevailing wage, high-quality union labor that put the new roof on the county jail. And the sheriff, just a few weeks ago, in front of a large group, said yes. And we've got some really terrible problems with the new roof that was put on the jail. It's leaking like crazy, which is he used as a reason to build the jail. Well, the reason I bring this up is we have another Republican, our Republican state senator, Jeff Hansen. And Senator Hansen is looking to get reelected. He may very well have a primary challenge in about a year and a half as a Republican, but certainly come November of 2014, he will be running for his final term as senator in the state of Michigan. Now, Senator Hansen came up with an idea, and apparently he's a co-sponsor, so it may very well have been his own idea. But what he wants to do is to reduce the cost. And in particular, this would be helpful to Muskegon County, at least the proponents of the jail, reduce the cost of the jail by saying that the contractors who are building the jail will not have to pay sales tax on the materials that are necessary, that are involved in any area where they might have to pay sales tax. And that would save the 6% sales tax that would be used to build the jail. He also wants to make this retroactive back to, I believe, the beginning of 2013. So anyone who's building a municipal project will be able to get not 6% across the board, but at least the 6% that would have been paid by the contractors.
For the materials.
Now, there's a significant difference between what Senator Hansen is suggesting and this self-imposed prevailing wage, and that's simply this. Senator Hansen is saying that if municipalities build something, the state, instead of taking the 6% that the state would have gotten, is just going to give it back. In other words, they are subsidizing, and by subsidizing, you are encouraging more municipal building. The state is going to give up its money. So the county, assuming all things are equal, would benefit. But why should the state be doing this? Especially when the county has chosen to increase the cost of its own construction by significantly more than whatever the 6% would save. It appears to me that Senator Hansen has missed the entire point. I would hope Republicans understand that and contact him. This is a bad idea.
Yeah, I think it is, and by and large, I like Jeff Hansen and most of what he does, but in this case, I do think that he's missed the mark. Here again, why are we robbing Peter to pay Paul?
This isn't just another subsidy from our state that's broke.
We've got enough problems, and this is just another. And by the way, this would just be another nightmarish, accounting issue as well, on top of everything else.
And you can imagine the opportunity for fraud in this accounting.
So I think you're right. I think he's missed it.
This would be a law, too, by the way. This would be state law. This would go on in perpetuity until it was changed.
In any event, again, this goes back to throw the peasants their nickels and dimes.
Yes.
The kings and queens will throw us the pennies and the change.
Bread and circuses.
As we're out there, genuflecting on the sidewalks as they walk by. This bothers me a great deal. As free people, we should be holding our officials accountable and not expecting that they toss us a little bone once in a while in return for our votes. And I just think this is a bad idea.
Well, Senator Hansen has been silent. He's been more than silent, and I'll explain that in a sec, but he's been silent on this issue of prevailing wage. He's been very vocal on the fact that the state ought to start giving more free money out. And when I say he's been less than silent, he's actually gone out and tried to squelch open discussion by Republicans about prevailing wage. When the Republican Party did have its meeting and did bring in an expert from the Mackinac Center, the senator's staff sent us a note saying, we don't really think you ought to be talking about prevailing wage. Well, guess what? We are going to talk about prevailing wage. If you are a Republican and you do care about this, and you think that this 6% solution is idiotic, and his silence on prevailing wage is cowardly, then give him a call. Go to eyeonmuskegon.com. His phone number is right there. His email address is right there. Let him know what you think. Because, again, folks, Thomas Paine did say, we are fighting the fight now so that our children will not have to fight it. We can all lay back and let our children fight this fight. I don't think it makes any sense for us to do that. And you can easily be part of the solution by picking up the phone.
Carpe diem. Seize the day.
Seize the day. Hey, one other thing, just as go ahead.
I was just going to ask, did they ever say why they needed a new juvenile center?
Actually, that's interesting. No, not to my knowledge.
Because I pass by it every day when I come here.
The one up in Whitehall.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there are some kind of made up after the fact reasons. Well, it'll be closer to the jail so that when they graduate from juvenile center, they can go right to the jail. There's any. That was a joke.
I know.
But actually, it's a joke that apparently is fairly true. I don't know. I believe that the juvenile center was added to the jail with the idea that it would be as successful a concept as when you're looking for a big school millage and you throw in, we're going to get a new football stadium. That kind of thing. It was added in to somehow make it a little more palatable. Whatever it is, every one of our county commissioners on every single vote has voted yes to go ahead with this. We're going to get it. And I think I mentioned that Ottawa County has, I think I've misstated myself in the past, but Ottawa County has something in the $70 to $80 million of total bonding outstanding. We have about $130 million, something along those lines. We will be adding another $35 or so million of county bonding. That's a mistake. That corporations look at the county fiscal responsibility just like they do city fiscal responsibility. That's why no one's moving to Detroit or Muskegon Heights, where the land is almost free.
We should be drawing down our debt rather than
And what are they going to do with this building now? The building over in Whitehall. That's just going to remain
probably
empty?
Turn it into a social services event. I mean, almost every building that the county has moved out of they've kept open for some other expansion of government. And let me tell you how they've been able to do that. I've been mentioning to people that it seemed to me, as I go to these county meetings, when the county on a monthly basis votes for their spending, their approving of accounts payable, I compared the last month's accounts payable spending with a year ago last month's. And it's around $11 million a month, but which you got to wonder, we've got $130 million worth of spending. Are you really, do you think you're getting that?
Are you getting your money's worth?
But in the last 12 months, and this is just a snapshot, but I'm not so sure it's pretty accurate, county spending's up 9%. 9% just in the last 12 months from a year ago, the same time period, to the same period today. So when they tell you they're cutting to the bone, when they tell you that the grizzle is being wiped out, the liver, we just got to take the liver out if you ask us to cut back on spending, say, wait a minute, you got 9% more this year than not, and you're still going out and borrowing another $35 million?
Preposterous.
Holy guacamole, folks.
He was looking for one of us to say something.
I know. I was waiting for something. Jeez, Pete, I guess we'll be back. I'll chastise you guys for not supporting me.
Oh, don't you love me sometime?
Be a survivor, not a statistic. Renegade River in Spring Lake has new and used handguns, hunting guns, sporting goods, and survival gear. Protect your rights and your freedom. Ask about their CPL classes. Renegade River, next to the police station in downtown Spring Lake.
Look how sad your smartphone is because it doesn't have iHeartRadio. It can't listen to 1,500 live radio stations. It can't make its own custom music stations. It can't even use the Perfect 4 feature. No wonder it's sad. I may weep myself. But you can cheer that phone up. Download the iHeartRadio app now. It's free at iHeartRadio.com. iHeartRadio is now available on Roku.
News Talk 1090 WKBZ has a great way for you to save money, up to 70% off on the items you want, like accessories for your man cave, fitness memberships, car care packages, GoPro cameras, and a lot more. Visit bidonwestmichigan.com, check out all the items, and make sure that you register yourself as a bidder. So check out the spring auction right now at bidonwestmichigan.com.
I tried a number of diets and they were ineffective. I thought I'd give this a shot. I was able to immediately change my eating habits, have lost 42 pounds.
That's Jim Farini talking about his personal success with a John Morgan hypnosis seminar. Like you, Jim knows that diets just don't work.
Your brain eventually overrules you and you go back to your old weight or even gain more weight. And that had been the pattern in my life for the last 15 years.
Call 800-735-6907. Hypnosis is safe, fun, and effective. Stop smoking forever or lose weight and keep it off.
People aren't even recognizing me in some cases. People are asking me, how did I do this?
Join John Morgan hypnotist Mark Pasnek Thursday, March 28th at the Shoreline Inn and Conference Center, adjacent to the Lake House Restaurant in Muskegon. Smoking cessation is at 6 p.m., weight loss at 8 p.m. Call 800-735-6907 or visit johnmorganseminars.com. Sessions are affordable at $59.95.
I feel fantastic and I couldn't be happier.
Call 800-735-6907 or visit johnmorganseminars.com. That's johnmorganseminars.com.
How much difference can one word make? Let me show you. Don't ask, are you going to college? Ask, where are you going to college? Add that one word and watch how everything changes. Are you going to be happy becomes where are you going to be happy? Are you going to be successful becomes where are you going to be successful? It all begins with one word, and it all begins with college. Don't ask if, ask where. When you do that, an entire world opens up for you. When you do that, dreams become reality. When you do that, your potential becomes unlimited. One word can change a sentence, and one word can change a life. Make that life yours, right now.
Let us help you succeed in school and in life. Visit us online today at GoRocketCity.org.
News Talk 1090 is the talk of Muskegon.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you
Okay, folks, golly, we're coming up to that last half hour of the most exciting political day in all of Muskegon County. I wanted just to hit
Happy
a few
St.
things.
Patrick's Day, by the way. I just thought I'd
Oh,
share
golly,
that
that's
with
right.
you.
I even have, as part of my show prep, various things that happen on...
I thought you were going to bring us like
on
corned
this
beef and
day.
cabbage this morning.
I thought we were going to do a river dance.
Yeah.
Well, that would be kind of cool. I really enjoyed
Get that
Riverdance.
in full HD. Put it on YouTube.
I love river dance.
Well, guess what? We didn't have that. But I do want to mention a little bit about St. Patrick's Day because I did a little bit of homework on it. The St. Patrick's Day, of course, commemorates the patron saint of Ireland. But did you know this is it is his date of death, at least as close as they've been able to determine. Apparently, he died on March 17th, 461 A.D., and one would have been interested to perhaps see the calendar he had on his wall in those days if he knew he was in 461 A.D. But on this same day, in 1762 in New York City, the first St. Patrick's Day parade took place. And it was, interestingly, held by Irish soldiers who were at that time serving in the British Army, which was, I'm not so sure they could have been called occupying the colonies, but
occupying forces.
Well, they were providing other good things. Hey, other cool things that are happening this week, in addition to St. Patrick's Day, is it is National Poison Prevention Week. So you can be sure folks like Mayor Bloomberg and others are probably going to make sure that we don't poison our children and our guests. National Animal Poison Prevention Week. So somebody like you, Fred, who has gotten friendly with your goats, make sure that you don't poison any goats. And for those of you who are
Oscar's having a conniption.
For those of you who are comfortable about the poisons and you don't worry about that, this is one, I don't know how you celebrate this one. This is Root Canal Awareness Week. So as if you have nothing else to worry about,
you have that to worry
Go
about.
celebrate Root Canal Awareness Week.
Did they say anything about when they turn beer green and why or anything like that, or no?
You know what?
I'm sure it's because of St. Patrick's Day turned green, but when
I
did
don't
they do
know
that?
the why, but I can tell you something. I have been to two of the three largest St. Patty's Day parades. Of course, one in Chicago, which many of us have been to, and I believe the second or third largest in the country is in Savannah, Georgia. It's a tremendous weekend that they have down there. But when we were in Chicago, and I would really recommend this to anybody who does go. That one bridge over the Chicago River, the main bridge there on Michigan Avenue.
Turn the water green?
Yep. Well, if you go down the steps, there's a family that has a boat, and they have been doing this apparently for many, many, many years. And they take this boat out, and they have the chemical that turns the river green. And they also have bottles of whiskey and are more than willing to give you a shot. So it's quite an exciting visit no matter what. But the chemical that they use to turn the river green, interestingly, is orange. And, of course, if you're Irish and you understand that the orange, the English were called the orange and not well respected, they put this orange chemical, dump it right into the river, and it turns the river green. So I don't know the exact chemical nature of it. But I do know it involves one of the most dangerous substances known to mankind, and that is dihydrogen monoxide.
Ooh.
Which is
man, that's bad. 100%. 100% of all deaths have some traces of that in the body.
And dihydrogen monoxide, of course, is little recognized for the dangers that it does.
You
to
didn't know
everyone.
that?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh!
How do they get away with that then?
I think it's just another government scam. It's another. They cover it up.
I mean,
the environmental.
More people are killed. I believe more people are killed when dihydrogen monoxide is involved. Tsunamis, hurricanes,
absolutely,
you name it.
Absolutely,
drownings and any number of things.
Than any amount.
Than all the rest combined. Of course, some people would know it as H2O. Which I guess some people, the people who don't quite understand it, might call that water. But it is, in fact, dihydrogen monoxide. Very dangerous substance. The government has yet
to ban it,
to start banning it or at least controlling it. But Well, the mayor of New York is trying to reduce the consumption of the dihydrogen monoxide when it's combined with sugar.
They're reducing beer too, or
one would expect that would be down the pike,
yeah,
wouldn't you think?
Would be, yeah.
Okay, hey, I have on my list. By the way, my show prep I do put on ionmuskegon.com, and now as Fred has so lauded me for, I've organized it in a fashion, and you might want to go there.
Military man in him.
Yes, he has. Well, he hadn't lauded me about anything yet, but
I don't laud.
Yeah, you don't laud.
I'm not a lauder.
I've got a little section called Just Dumb, and a couple of things, some of which you may have heard, but they are certainly worthy of revisiting. During a time when, of course, we know that the government's cut back, the National Institutes of Health was awarded a $1.5 million study to study the biological and social factors of why 3/4 of lesbians are obese, and coincidentally, why gay males are not.
And how many White House tours do you suppose could be funded with that?
There's your tax dollars at work. Got to find out why some are fat and some are skinny. Another wonderful deal. On Wednesday, this is just the past week, or actually a couple weeks ago, the House Science, Space, and Technology